Juan, what's up, man?
Good afternoon, guys. How are you guys doing?
What up,
Pretty
Juancito?
good.
¿Qué pasó, Latino? ¿Cómo te va?
Bien, bien.
Today's been an earthquake in the Supreme Court decisions, no? It's like case after case, like 4 or 5 different opinions that came down. Uh, but for birthright citizenship, I would say, to be quite honest, not so much. It's just basically saying that you can't you can't issue an injunction for the whole country. You can only issue an injunction for your circuit, and then it's even more limited to the people that are suing. Those people can reap the benefits of the injunction. Everybody else, no, is what I understand.
Well, go ahead and describe the rest of the decisions, and I want to loop back because I actually think the Supreme Court did not do a good job with that, saying that the Constitution is nationwide. It's not district wide. It's not district to district, and I just disagree with how they did it. And you have the legal education, so maybe I'll learn something. But if I understand the twist, like they had to split it apart, so they split the injunction part
Correct.
away from the birthright citizenship part, and I think that was a masterstroke. That was some chess. So go ahead.
Well, to shorten
Tell
it
me
down,
where I'm wrong.
well, you're not wrong technically. It's just that what happens is when you're suing, and this is where these guys made the mistake. I call it a strategic mistake. Is that if I'm suing you, me individually, the injunction doesn't apply to everybody else. It only applies to that person that did me wrong, and that's what happened. CASA and like 4 or 5 other groups that sued Donald Trump, they only sued individually. They didn't open up. They didn't open up the whole class of immigrants.
Yes. Okay. Gotcha.
Had they
That
opened up
makes
the
sense.
class of immigrants, then this could have gone the other way, but they didn't.
But
And
let me.
go ahead.
So help me here, and you know what? You just actually kind of helped me understand because it wasn't class, and they talked about that in the argument. But the thing is, and that you know what? How do you want to do this? You want to talk about the rest? You're going to take control and talk about the whole Supreme Court cornucopia
Oh,
because I don't know all the stuff.
I would have to let it
Um,
go first, Stanley. That's the thing. I read 2 opinions. One affects me here in Texas. Well, it doesn't affect me
mhm.
that much, but
Well, tell us about the one that affects you.
well, it doesn't affect me that much because I don't watch those sites. But here in Texas, if you want to watch prawn, you have to submit your ID, and the Supreme Court upheld that. Basically, they likened it to you needing to present your ID to prove that you're over 21 to drink. Is basically what happened there.
Yeah,
What's
just like
wrong with
Florida.
that?
Just like Florida.
Yeah, just like Florida, you're absolutely right.
I don't see a problem with that.
Me
We
either.
have the technology.
Me either. But the problem that I'm seeing with everything is everybody is acting, in your words, bombastic about the whole thing. Tom Bowman's coming in and yeah, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, we're gonna do the other. And I was like, dude, calm down, calm down. It's not that serious. Like, calm down.
Did you see? We watched Pam Bondi. Oh my God,
I
she
saw that
she
one.
was like a cheerleader. I wanted to hand her a set of pom poms.
I thought she had pom poms for a minute there, right?
Well, no,
But it's the
rah
same thing.
rah Donald Trump, rah rah. He was so. Oh my Lord.
But what she did say in the midst of all of that cheering that a lot of the people will miss, Stanley and Latinos, is that the true argument on the merits will happen in November. And she's right. That's when that next term comes.
Well, yeah, but see, here's the deal, and maybe we can talk about Ketanji Brown Jackson's point, and
They
she
did her
made it during the argument. And
Knocked him
They
out.
did her dirty in that opinion.
okay, but her point about laws, federal laws, I think that was her point. The federal laws, that's countrywide. That's an automatic nationwide injunction, right?
What she was saying is that the Supreme Court has the ultimate authority and has the ultimate responsibility for enforcing all laws federally. And that's where she got, man, they did her dirty. They smacked her down. And that's where a lot
Okay,
of,
well, do you agree with the SmackDown?
I don't agree with how they did it, but they're not wrong because what they were citing was Marbury versus Madison, that everything is subject to judicial review. They don't have to. They don't
Okay, well, Marbury versus Madison is a construct. Okay,
right.
so you're gonna smack. Look, that was an assumed power. No way, that's not a constitutional power.
Well, the doctrine of judicial review, you're right. It comes out of the doctrine of federalism, right? So that's you're absolutely right. It's not inherently written, but that's what they used to smack her down, and that's why I think it was dirty because there wasn't really, other than that case law and other than the Federalist Papers regarding judicial review, that was all that I saw. That's where I thought that they did her dirty. It was just basically like it was a legalese way of telling her, "Chick, sit down, shut up. You have no business being here." Is what they did.
Really?
Yeah, in my opinion, that's what I think that they did.
Well, the problem is, well, you know what? I think she's going to prove them all wrong. I thought the point she made during that argument, the Casa Trump Casa, I
Yes.
thought that was the best argument of the whole thing. And I'm not particular, I'm not that partial to her, but look, she, you're gonna, y'all motherfuckers are gonna love this. She's literally the smartest one in that room. Now, no, I think she's the smartest one in that room.
Well, I can't agree or disagree. She has. I understand where she's coming from with her judicial philosophy, but I don't agree with it. But that doesn't mean that
Why
she's
not?
like, I'm not.
I
I'm a
mean,
strict,
she's an originalist.
yeah, that's the thing. She's an originalist, and she believes that the Constitution is subject to change, even though the words.
Yes,
And I'm a strict construct. What do they call it? Strict construction.
strict constructionist.
Yes.
But the problem, dude, now Thomas Jefferson was not a part of the Constitution, so but
Right.
he is. I think he's considered a founding father, motherfucker. He wrote the Declaration. That whole Tree of Liberty thing. Why
Yes.
isn't that taken into consideration? To me, that's almost more sacrosanct than the Constitution. The people have the right to tear it down when it becomes tyrannical.
Well, that's, believe it or not, Stanley, you might think I'm wrong here because I don't know. But my theory is that they're actually getting literally into that now. Because, like I mentioned a couple of days ago, I don't know if it was with you or with somebody else, but we're starting to see an expansive body of Second Amendment law that we have not seen before.
Uh-huh.
And so I
Well,
think that
elaborate on that because I'm not following you.
when you look at cases like the New York State Pistol and Rifle Association
Mhm,
versus the City of
mhm,
New York, you look at DC
mhm,
versus Heller, and you look at DC versus Bruin, those cases didn't exist 20 years ago.
mhm.
Those the way that it used to work, and this is what held the National Firearms Act up for so long, even though I disagree with it, is that the government, the federal government, can't take your right to bear arms away, but the states can. And so then the states come in and they pass these laws, like in New York. If I have an AR-15 in New York, it's a felony immediately. If
Right.
I have an extended clip, which I do for my 40 caliber pistol, it's a felony. Whereas here in Texas,
But
it's not.
that's part of the state militia thing, right? What the
Yes, yes, you're absolutely right. And in the earlier case, back in the 80s or the 90s, the Supreme Court said that the Second Amendment was subject to regulation, which made almost
Mhm,
everybody that had machine guns felons overnight as a result.
mhm,
Now,
mhm,
the end result is that they're basically, it's almost similar to what they did with Plessy versus Ferguson. They're rolling
mhm,
back on that law. And I would argue
mhm.
that if they keep going that route within 30 years, the National Firearms Act will be overruled. The Texas versus Johnson rule will be overruled. And so the Second Amendment will basically be conferred to the states, which I believe should have been to begin with. But my opinion is only that of a juris doctors, people that are much, much higher in intellect than me. Uh, I would basically
Motherfucker, that's just not so much intellect. See, this is the other thing, and I'm not fussing at you, of course, Juan. Dude, experience contributes to intellect.
say that
Like
one
the
more time.
mo- experience contributes to intellect. You know more as you live more.
That is so true.
So, motherfucker, you're still young.
Having to tell my kid, I was you once. I thought like you once. You're about to follow your mistakes.
Exactly.
Latinos, you're doing that right now, buddy. Like, hey,
Yep.
tú una vez. Pero síguele, síguele.
Dude, you know what? I had parents who would, dude, and I know your parents have probably told you this. One day, I can't remember, it was probably my father who said, motherfucker, he didn't say the motherfucker part. No, he literally said, and this is a motherfucking man. Son, if I'm wrong, I'm right.